Jesus taught about finishing a great work, not just doing a work for a season. Matthew 25:21, his master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant." This praise comes in eternity for those who finish. Paul wrote of finishing a great work. 2 Timothy 4:7 and 8. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. From now on, the crown of righteousness is laid up for me, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day. Future tense. And not only me, but all those who crave his appearing. You see this. We had thirsting for, eagerly awaiting, craving his appearing. A desire that is so drawn towards Jesus Christ that we're not worried about those in the world that would mock us, that would hurt our feelings, that would do anything to detract us from the work. But it's a finished work. Jesus taught about finishing a work. Here you go. So in the time you have left, you are terminal. Seek God and ask him what work you are to do. Trust God to meet the needs of that work. Do not grow tired of the work you've been called to do, but ask God to strengthen your hands. Do not be hindered by mocking, threats, compromising your faith. Can your brothers in arms trust you to remain in the fight? Or will you retreat when the battle turns against you? We talk about this battle imagery a lot. And we glorify the thought of charging into battle, holding our guidons up. Brother, I got your back. I'm going to be there for you. But then when the battle gets tight, you get down to you only got a couple rounds left. Your buddy's out of ammo. He's got his bayonet on. Are you going to be the one that he can trust to be there? Or are you going to be the one that starts making your way towards the back? Starts sneaking off. Starts finding time to retreat and retire. I don't mean to be angry about this, but every year at each of our national events, ECR to USA run, somebody gets up in a bounding voice and talks about the soldier creed. And they talk about how I will not quit, I will not give up, I will not this, I will not that. I'm going to charge the gates of heaven, right? Every year, people say, praise God, that's awesome. And within a month, we got patches getting mailed back into nationals because people quit. I got your back, brother. Really? When you got called to this ministry, I'm talking to soldiers now. Soldiers, when you got called to this ministry and you agreed to it, and you put that patch on your back, you know what that patch is? It's a guide-on. You know what a guide-on is? Every unit, by division, would carry a flag that said, this is who we are. So commanders knew where their place was on the battlefield. Now soldiers, we may have the East. Bikers for Christ may have the West. Freedom Biker Church may have the South. But you know what? They all got to know that soldiers are going to hold their line.
That's right.
You're going to stand up and put the guide-on of Jesus Christ on your back and say, I am a soldier for Christ. I'm a soldier for Jesus. And when the battle gets tough, when you get tired, when you don't seek God to strengthen your hands, you get fearful. When you case colors, when a unit gets shut down because it's ineffective, they roll it up. What do they call it when somebody quits and turns a cut in? He rolled up. I would rather lose half of the soldier nation this year than have all of those people standing beside me telling me they got my back, and then they roll up their colors and retreat when it gets tough. That's why Gideon's army was reduced by God.
That's right.
Gideon's army was reduced by God so that God would get the glory and victory. He said, I don't want you carrying a guide-on that you're going to throw in the mud as soon as the battle gets tough. He said, you know what? Our guide-on shouldn't have to have a point on the end of it, because you're never going to stick it in the ground and walk away. Your guide-on doesn't need a point, because if you start to fall, somebody else ought to pick it up. Soldiers forever, forever soldiers, right? Okay, take that outside of soldiers. Nehemiah gives us an example of a godly leader. If you're a husband, a wife, a mom, a dad, a teacher, military, whatever you do, if you're in ministry, you're neither a leader or you're called to follow one. Look at Nehemiah's example of leadership. Sought God, asked for strength, led by example. Nowhere in here, come and hide, let's lock ourselves up. No! I got my hand on the Bible and a hand on my sword. I got my guide on. I'm going forward. That's what we need to do in 2017. Because the walls of righteousness are being torn down and the gates of morality are on fire in America. If you're a Christian, you have been called to stand against that. You've been called to rebuild the walls. You should weep when you hear the report of what's happened to the great city. If Jesus should return or call any of us home in this new year, may he find each of us doing his great work. Happy New Year.